Finland built a society where education is free, school meals are universal, institutions command unusually high trust, and innovation became a national priority. But none of this happened by accident. Finland spent decades designing the system. Think about this. Finland has only about 5.65 million people, yet its institutions, education model, welfare architecture, and innovation ecosystem have attracted attention around the world. So what exactly did this small country figure out? Most people associate Finland with cold weather, forests, Nokia, and excellent schools. But the deeper story is much bigger. Finland built an entire ecosystem around one idea: give ordinary people enough security to become productive, capable, and independent. And here's what makes the Finnish story fascinating. Its famous education system is actually only one part of the machine. Schools work because teachers, municipalities, healthcare services, families, and government institutions reinforce one another. But Finland was not always wealthy, technologically advanced, or socially secure. It was once a poor agrarian country on Europe's northern edge. Its transformation began with independence, hardship, war, and an unusually determined effort to build national capacity. So the real question isn't simply, why are Finnish schools so good? It's more interesting than that. How did a small country build institutions strong enough to keep working through war, recession, globalization, technological disruption, and demographic pressure? Finland declared independence from Russia on December 6, 1917. But independence did not instantly create stability. A civil war followed in 1918, leaving deep political and social divisions that the young republic had to gradually overcome. The country then faced another brutal test during the Second World War. Finland survived the conflict but emerged economically and politically constrained. Reconstruction wasn't optional. The country needed jobs, industry, education, infrastructure, and social cohesion, quickly. Finland's post-war challenge produced an unusual economic strategy. The country expanded industrial capacity, improved infrastructure, strengthened education, and gradually moved workers from agriculture toward manufacturing and services. One of the most important investments was education. Finland gradually built a comprehensive school system designed to give children broadly similar opportunities regardless of where they lived or what their parents earned. Today, Finnish basic education covers 9 years, from grades 1 through 9, and is provided free of charge. Students also receive learning materials, meals, health and welfare services, and transportation in qualifying circumstances. And Finland's school lunch story is extraordinary. Free school meals have existed since 1948. And today nearly 850,000 pupils and students are entitled to free school lunch. The meal is treated as part of education, not merely feeding children. But the meal is only the visible part. The deeper idea is equality. If every child receives food, learning materials, support, and access to education, then family income becomes less powerful in determining where that child can start. That philosophy extends beyond school. Finland built a welfare state designed to reduce major risks: illness, unemployment, poverty, and exclusion, while keeping people connected to education and the labor market. This created a crucial feedback loop. Better health supports learning. Better education supports employment. Employment generates taxes. Taxes finance public services. And public services help stabilize households when something goes wrong. But this system required something money alone cannot buy: trust. Citizens had to believe that institutions were legitimate, that rules applied broadly, and that public money could actually produce services worth paying for. In 2023, 47% of Finns reported high or moderately high trust in the national government, above the OECD average of 39%. Yet Finnish trust has also fallen, proving that even strong institutions are not immune to pressure. And this is where Finland's story becomes more complicated. Trust is not simply a cultural personality trait. It can be reinforced when people repeatedly experience competent public services, predictable rules, and institutions that treat citizens fairly. Then Finland made one of its boldest decisions. Instead of creating an elite school system for a few, it built a comprehensive system for almost everyone. The goal was not to find the best children. It was to raise the whole population. Finnish teachers have historically been given substantial professional responsibility, while standardized testing plays a smaller role than in many education systems. Teacher preparation became demanding too, turning teaching into a profession requiring serious expertise. Finland did not build a system where university was the only respectable destination. Academic and vocational pathways both became legitimate routes into adult life. In 2021, Finland expanded compulsory education to age 18 and made upper secondary education free for students covered by the reform. The message was clear: leaving school early should not become a permanent economic disadvantage. But Finland's education story has an uncomfortable twist. Its international performance has declined over the past decade. Yet the country's real lesson is not that one perfect education formula exists. It is that systems can be designed to evolve. Education created something Finland would later need desperately: a highly educated population capable of moving into advanced manufacturing, telecommunications, engineering, research and technology. The school system was quietly becoming economic infrastructure. By the late 20th century, Finland had developed an economy increasingly based on technology and knowledge. One company became especially important: Nokia. Its rise would help transform Finland's global economic identity, and later expose a dangerous weakness. Finland's research and development spending surged during the 1990s and 2000s, but success created concentration risk. When Nokia's mobile phone business collapsed, Finland discovered that even a world-class innovation ecosystem can become vulnerable when too much technological strength is concentrated in one company. Yet Finland rebuilt. The country once again invested heavily in research, technology, and innovation, proving that innovation cannot depend on a single corporate champion. This is one of Finland's hidden strengths. Education doesn't stop at school. Universities, vocational institutions, companies, municipalities, and research organizations form overlapping networks that help knowledge move from classrooms into the economy. The Finnish state often acts less like a dictator of innovation and more like a platform. It funds education, infrastructure, research, and public services, while companies compete to turn those capabilities into products and businesses. But this model is expensive. Finland maintains a sophisticated welfare state, public services, education system, and research infrastructure while facing a small population and an aging demographic. The system must constantly justify its costs through productivity. That means Finland cannot simply expand the workforce through population growth. It has to make each worker more productive. Education, technology, automation, healthcare, infrastructure, and immigration policy therefore become connected economic questions. Finland also demonstrates another principle. Infrastructure isn't just concrete. Reliable electricity, high-quality transport, digital connectivity, public libraries, schools, hospitals, and local government all reduce the friction of everyday economic life. The result is an economy where knowledge and manufacturing overlap. A forest can become engineered material. A university discovery can become a medical technology. A public digital system can become a platform for private services. And that brings us to one of Finland's most underestimated assets: public administration. When government systems function predictably, companies spend less energy navigating uncertainty and more energy producing, investing, hiring, and innovating. Now comes the bigger question. Does Finland's system actually create economic strength? The answer is visible in its income levels, innovation capacity, education outcomes, infrastructure, and ability to produce globally competitive companies despite its tiny domestic market. But Finland's strength isn't simply wealth. It's what that wealth buys. Education, research, infrastructure, healthcare, social protection, cultural institutions, and the human capability needed to keep the economy functioning. Finland's strategic position has also changed. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Finland applied for NATO membership and officially became a member in 2023. The decision showed how quickly national systems can adapt to external shocks. But Finland's strength has never been about avoiding problems. It has been about building institutions that can absorb them. War created resilience. Recession forced reform. Nokia's collapse forced diversification. Demographic pressure is now forcing another rethink. And that may be Finland's greatest lesson. A successful country isn't necessarily one that gets everything right. It's one that can detect failure, change direction, and preserve enough institutional trust to keep moving forward. There is a warning hidden here too. Finland's system is expensive, its population is aging, productivity growth has been challenging, and education performance has weakened. A model built for one era cannot simply be frozen and expected to work forever. Finland's future depends on whether it can preserve the trust and equality that built the system while becoming more productive, more innovative, and more economically dynamic. So what did Finland really build? not simply good schools. It built a national capability system where education creates skills, welfare reduces catastrophic risk, government provides infrastructure, and companies convert knowledge into economic value. The genius is not that every part is extraordinary. The genius is that the parts reinforce one another. Healthy child can learn. A skilled adult can work. Productive company can innovate. A functioning state can finance the next generation. Because these systems reinforce each other, Finland can spend heavily on education without treating education as an isolated expense. It becomes an investment in productivity, health, social stability, innovation, and future prosperity. But this only works when institutions remain competent. If services become inefficient, taxes feel unfair, schools lose quality, or trust collapses, the feedback loop breaks. Finland's real competitive advantage, therefore, isn't one policy. It's institutional coordination. That explains why copying Finland is harder than copying Finnish schools. A country can import a curriculum overnight. It cannot import decades of teacher preparation, municipal capacity, public trust, welfare institutions, infrastructure, and social expectations. This is why Finland's story matters far beyond Finland. Countries everywhere are asking the same questions. How do we educate people? How do we build trust? How do we innovate? And how do we make economic growth improve everyday life? Finland's story began with a small, vulnerable country trying to survive. It became a long experiment in building human capability through education, welfare, infrastructure, innovation, and institutions strong enough to survive political and economic shocks. Did not build perfection. Finland still faces aging, economic pressure, falling educational performance, and the difficult question of how to sustain an expensive welfare state. But its greatest achievement may be something more practical. The ability to keep improving. Maybe that's the real secret. Finland didn't become strong by finding one extraordinary solution. It built hundreds of ordinary solutions that worked together, and then spent decades protecting, testing, and improving them. Its success was never about being the biggest country, having the largest population, or possessing unlimited natural resources. It was about making limited resources work unusually well. Strong systems are rarely created in a single election cycle or through one revolutionary idea. They are built slowly, tested by crises, corrected when they fail, and passed from one generation to the next. Finland's story is not really about a miracle. It is about coordination, trust, human capital, adaptation, and the willingness to invest in things whose benefits may take decades to appear. And that's what makes Finland's experiment so valuable. It shows that national strength isn't only measured by military power, population, or economic size. Sometimes, it is measured by how effectively a society turns ordinary people into extraordinary collective capability. The next time you hear about how Finland built one of the world's best systems, remember that the story is far more complex than it appears on the surface. Behind every statistic, every headline, and every success story lies a chain of decisions, risks, and human ambition. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world.